Welcome to the course European Ritual Cuisine, Digital Presentation and Preservation. Module 1 explores ritual recipes and their documenting via usage of new digital technologies, and this lesson will contain information on historical and cultural value criteria for recipe preservation and changes in food culture along cultural and local civilization development. For the last few years, more than half of the world's population has lived in cities. A turning point in society has been reached, and humanity has changed its ancestral way of living. Because food cultures are deeply rooted parts of our natural history that have evolved and developed over time, they are essential parts of how we support our overall health and nourish our bodies. However, over the past half-century, commercially processed foods and insurgence of supermarkets and marketed diet culture have disconnected many people with their traditional food culture to the point where they may not even recognize it anymore. Regional food habits do exist, but they also changed over time. As people immigrate, food practices and preferences are imported and exported. Families move to other locations, bringing their food preferences with them. They may use their old recipes with new ingredients or experiment with new recipes, incorporating ingredients to match their own tastes. Gastronomic commons crystallize these local specificities and identities. On the other hand, local cuisines have evolved towards gastronomic services. On the basis of regional resources, as truffles, fish or mushrooms for instance, of regional selection and elaboration, goose or duck confit, smoked or marinated fish, they define regional recipes for standard cuisine but also for ceremonies cuisine. On the second hand, some countries gave birth to aristocratic cuisines. Even if the Greeks and Romans knew gastronomy, classic gastronomy is mainly founded in the aristocratic model of gastronomy, connected to the European court culture and mainly developed in the 17th and 18th royal and imperial courts. It constituted the basis of a gastronomic heritage, as type of dishes, recipes, modes of presentation, etc. National cuisines had strongly been influenced by the personality of some great sovereigns, as Queen Victoria or King Louis XIV. The organization of the courts, the Court of Savoy, the Court of Versailles, and ideology, such as the domination of Puritanism in some places, of libertine philosophy in others. Shortage or price of some products has caused creative approach to old recipes and replacement of ingredients, which also have resulted in decreased use of initial recipes. The protection of foodstuffs and know-how is important as the risk of extinction of some ingredients constituting gastronomic commons is at stake. For example, some plant resources are endangered and some have even disappeared because of the failure to adapt to changing societies and to contemporaneous ways of production. Process of cultural transmission is another reason of changes in ritual recipe use. For instance, through the conservation of the chef-guild traditions and the mother-daughter know-how in food preparation transmission within families. Food culture is changing in a dynamic way, as our lives are continuously changing. Who we live with, how we spend our time, where we live, and the things our value are morphing. Food decisions are driven by availability, wants and whims, aspirations, and ethics. We're more conscious of health outcomes when choosing what to eat, yet we seek cultural discovery through food and eat things our grandmothers never even thought of. Factors influencing distancing from ritual food consumption are: at first, values. Cultural shifts in how we define a high quality of life. Shifting values include perceptions of high-quality food and evolving culture of health and wellness. The fresh revolution as a symbol of quality in food and appreciation of personal, customized and global foods. Demographic. Demographic changes in the size, structure, and complexion of households, including the rise of single-person households, non-traditional family structures, and racial diversification. Place. Environmental shift in where we live and the retail and technical landscape around us, including a return to metropolitan city centers, diversification of food retail and food service, and increasing digital connections. Introducing of cultural diets. Health worries become the modern problems, so our relationship with food is changing, and many people refrain from authentic food, justifying it with dietary needs. Another dietary crossovers are caused by enhanced mobility between countries, the desire to discover the characteristic traits of other civilizations in a process to getting to know others, as well as expansion in production of some multinationals have modified the culinary landscape. Over the last 10 years, the distinction between ways of cooking of the world's major traditions and food preferences, as well as the approach to food itself, has become increasingly confused. Marketing has spent a great role here. The McDonaldization of food habits on a global level is a fact, as is the significant development in the West of ethnic restaurants. The approach to fast food and major chains such as McDonald's has often formed through television and the movies that have spread awareness about them and above all desire for them. However, some countries, because of deep-rooted pre-existing culinary traditions, have lower impact form this globalization. Another aspect is enormous interest of nutritionists, the food industry, and journalists in having their say on the subject of what and how to eat. During last decades, we experienced an incredible cycle of technological innovation which opened the way for rapid economic and social progress, especially in Europe. From a purely food-related standpoint, there was progress in the way foods were preserved and prepared, development in scientific knowledge, and the spread of home appliances. Consuming food means performing a set of experiences that are not otherwise repeatable. Some of these experiences are changed, shifted, or lost during the society development stages. Flavor. Much of contemporary cooking tends to revolve around a universal model that unifies all the culinary traditions, effectively losing sight of their distinctive, unique features. The products we use and technologies of production are having impact on taste and flavor, on even previously tasted and appreciated dishes. Traditions. Changes in traditions, holding of ceremonies, etc. asks for correction in use of recipes. Also other traditions, as for example fact that current generation no longer eat what their parents and ancestors ate, is leading to abandonment of culinary traditions, rituals, and customs that have their roots in the history, and give them their distinctive cultural and social traits. This was information about identification of ritual recipes, national cultural significance, which is elaborated by the International Project Eurica Working Group. Please see our next lessons in order to explore digital presentation and preservation of European ritual cuisine.